Welcome back, everyone, to Just We Are. I'm Sarah, and I am so ready to dive into some truly wild human behavior today.
And I'm Mike, reluctantly here to apply a healthy dose of cynicism to whatever flights of fancy Sarah has cooked up for us this week.
Oh, you say that every time, but you know you secretly love it. Today, we're talking about everything from what people do right after getting off public transportation, and I mean everything, to those almost moments of connection that somehow slip away.
Right, because who hasn't wondered if that person who rushed off the bus because they couldn't stand the thought of a speck of subway dust on their clothes might have just walked away from their soulmate? It's a real conundrum, folks.
Exactly. So get ready for some serious laughs, maybe a little aww, and definitely some head-scratching moments. It's going to be a fun one. Okay, Mike, are you ready for this first one? I stumbled upon a story, and I still don't know whether to be impressed or just incredibly baffled.
Lay it on me, because my bafflement meter is fully charged.
All right, so there's this woman, and her rule is after every single trip on public transportation, a flight, a bus, the subway, she immediately, and I mean immediately, goes home, strips down, and takes a full shower. Every time.
All right, I mean, that's dedication. Or, a slight deviation from the norm.
It gets better. Not only does she do this, but she expects her guests to do the same. If you've just come from the airport to her house, she's pointing you to the guest bathroom, fresh towels waiting. Decontaminate, darling.
Wait. So if I fly across the country, land, get in a cab, show up at her door, my first greeting is a stern look and a suggestion I go scrub myself clean before I even get a glass of water, that's not a welcoming committee. That's a hazmat team.
Exactly. My jaw was on the floor. On one hand, you think, okay, she's serious about cleanliness. But on the other, it's like, where does the line even begin with this kind of behavior? Is this healthy hygiene, or is it verging on something entirely different?
It's definitely something else. Healthy hygiene is, washing your hands after using the restroom. This is like preparing for a moon landing after a trip to the grocery store. I mean, what does she think is crawling on her? Little microscopic subway gremlins?
Maybe she's just incredibly sensitive to the feeling of outside on her skin. I can sort of relate to that post-travel grimy feeling, especially after a long flight, but a full-blown mandatory decontamination station for guests? That feels like a boundary issue to me.
A boundary issue? Sarah, that's not a boundary. That's a barbed wire fence with a moat. I can just picture her standing there with a spray bottle of Lysol, eyeing your shoes suspiciously. Did you walk here?
No, but seriously, it makes you wonder about the psychology behind it. Is it anxiety, a fear of germs that's gone a little too far, or just an extreme preference for feeling perfectly pristine? Because it certainly changes the whole dynamic of having people over. Forget a casual pop-in, you need to schedule a shower appointment.
Just show up in a full hazmat suit. See what she does then, or maybe I just stay home. Sounds like a lot of effort for a cup of coffee. I mean, what if I just flew from a desert island? Perfectly pristine air. No germs. Still got a shower?
According to her, probably, because you were out in the world. It's less about actual dirt and more about the concept of external contact, I think. It's fascinating, but I don't know if I could ever be friends with someone who made me do that. My entire life would revolve around my shower schedule.
So, a world where every social interaction requires a full body scrub. Got it. Sounds lonely. Which actually leads me perfectly to something else entirely. We've been talking about people avoiding contact, but what about people desperately seeking it after a fleeting moment?
Oh, are we going to talk about missed connections? Because I love a good missed connection story. It's like a tiny, hopeful novel unfolding in the classified section, or, online now.
Online, exactly. Because who's still reading classifieds? But yes, those incredibly specific, slightly desperate pleas to the man in the blue hat on the A train Tuesday at 8:17 a.m. You smiled at me. I was holding a green umbrella. Please find me.
See, that's not desperate, Mike. That's romantic. It's the universe nudging you, saying, hey, there was a spark here. Don't just let it fizzle out. It's like a modern-day fairy tale. You had this moment, you locked eyes, and then poof, they were gone. And you're left wondering, what if?
What if you were just both awkwardly trying to avoid eye contact and accidentally made it? What if one of you was just thinking about needing to pick up dry cleaning? It's usually not a spark, Sarah. It's a momentary flicker of recognition followed by the crushing reality of a crowded subway car.
No, you're ruining the magic. I swear, I had a moment like that once. I was on the metro, heading home, and this guy gets on. He was reading like a really obscure philosophy book, and I was trying not to stare, but he looked up, caught my eye, and just gave this really warm, knowing smile. And then his stop came, and he was gone.
And you didn't, yell, "Wait, what's your name, stranger with the obscure book?"
Of course not. That's not how it works. There's a decorum. But for days, I regretted not saying anything, and I kept checking the local missed connections just in case. He never posted. So he probably thought I was just some weirdo staring at his book.
Or he had to rush off to shower after being on public transport. You never know. See, the two themes connect. But seriously, what are the odds? You think you're gonna find your soulmate based on someone remembering your green umbrella? There are probably 50 people with green umbrellas on the A train every Tuesday.
It's not about the umbrella, Mike. It's about the vibe, the specific, undeniable vibe that only you two shared. And sure, the odds might be slim, but isn't there something incredibly hopeful about even trying? That someone out there cares enough to put a message into the void just in case?
It's hopeful in the same way buying a lottery ticket is hopeful. Sure, you could win, but you're probably just throwing money away. Most of these missed connections are just, I saw someone attractive and now I'm mildly infatuated with the idea of them. Not exactly the basis for a lifelong partnership.
But sometimes it works. You hear those stories. People find each other and then they get married and name their kids A-Train and Green Umbrella.
I think they usually just name them John or Emily, but let's say 1 in a million works. That means for every heartwarming success, there are a million people posting incredibly vague descriptions of strangers, hoping against hope. To the person who coughed loudly next to me on the bus, I think I saw your face. Not exactly swoon-worthy.
You're being cynical. It's about that universal human desire for connection, that feeling of what if. It's like finding a message in a bottle. You don't expect it, but when you do, it's just exciting. A little whisper from fate.
So, building on my earlier, completely brilliant point, imagine this. Someone's on the train, they lock eyes with their supposed soulmate, the air crackles, the universe sings a tiny off-key tune.
Uh-huh. And then
instead of, saying hello or I love your green umbrella, they suddenly remember the sheer microbial horror of public transit. They bolt from the train at the next stop, sprint home, strip, and jump into a scalding shower, scrubbing away any trace of the outside world, including, potentially, the lingering memory of that soulmate smile.
Oh my gosh, I couldn't talk to you, darling. I had to decontaminate. That is the most tragic rom-com ever written.
But totally plausible. You're so focused on the immediate threat of cooties that you completely miss the opportunity for, dare I say, love. Think of all the misconnections that weren't about bad timing or shyness, but about someone having an urgent, non-negotiable appointment with a loofah.
That's actually kind of sad, Mike, to think that a fear of germs could be stronger than the pull of human connection. I saw my future, but then I remembered where my hand had been.
Well, to be fair, sometimes where your hand has been, you really do need to wash it immediately. But yes, it's a prioritization. Is the risk of a fleeting germ worse than the risk of a lifelong regret? For some people, apparently yes. The sanctity of their epidermis is paramount.
So are we saying that true love might be a little bit dirty? That you have to be willing to get a little bit, I don't know, exposed to find it? Maybe you can't be so meticulously clean that you wash away all the spontaneous chances life throws at you.
I'm not advocating for living in filth, Sarah, but perhaps a slight tolerance for the unknown. Like maybe just a quick hand sanitize after you shake hands with destiny, instead of a full biohazard scrub down. Imagine writing a missed connection post. To the beautiful stranger I saw on the bus, I couldn't approach you because I felt a sneeze coming on, and I just knew I needed to sanitize myself immediately. If you're still out there and willing to undergo a vigorous steam cleaning, please contact me. That definitely wouldn't get a response. But seriously, it does make you think. If you're so wrapped up in your personal bubble of cleanliness, are you actually missing out on the messy, wonderful chaos of life and relationships? Because, let's face it, relationships are messy, literally sometimes. That's a good point. Marriage is basically a long-term exposure therapy program. You're constantly sharing air, food, the remote, all sorts of microscopic flora and fauna. If you can't handle a little subway grime, how are you going to handle someone's actual human habit?
Exactly. What if your soulmate is just a little bit, crumbly, or has a habit of leaving their socks on the floor? Are you going to shower after every interaction with them? Where does it end? The post-kiss decontamination ritual?
That's where I draw the line, Sarah. A post-kiss shower is just poor form. Unless it was a really bad kiss. Then by all means, scrub. But my point stands. If your fear of surface germs dictates your romantic life, you're going to miss out on a lot of sparks. Maybe the spark was literal static electricity from the train seats. But still.
It's like you're so busy protecting your fortress that you don't realize the Prince Charming tried to scale the walls but then slipped on your hand sanitizer and went home.
Or he saw you eyeing the emergency shower cord and decided you weren't the one. There has to be a balance. Cleanliness is next to godliness, but loneliness is next to an empty hand sanitizer dispenser.
So I guess the takeaway from today for me is that while it's good to be clean, maybe don't scrub away your chances at happiness. Sometimes the most beautiful connections are a little bit messy.
Or at least they don't require an immediate hazmat suit and a 3-hour power wash. A little bit of shared humanity, even the grimy parts, can be part of the adventure. Embrace the chaos, embrace the crumbs, embrace the occasional subway pole handprint.
Yes, embrace the subway pole handprint, because it might lead you to your soulmate, or at least a really interesting story to tell.
Exactly, because the alternative is a very sterile, very lonely existence, meticulously clean, but utterly devoid of any spontaneous, life-altering encounters. And what fun is that?
Not much fun at all. So go forth, listeners, live a little. Be mindful, but also open to the beautiful, slightly unwashed possibilities that life throws your way.
And if you do meet someone amazing on public transport, maybe just use some hand sanitizer after you've exchanged numbers or before you eat, just not immediately.
That's the Mike-approved level of acceptable risk.
Pretty much. Thanks for joining us on this slightly germy, but hopefully illuminating journey.
It was a blast, as always. And until next time, remember to find your balance between the squeaky clean and the wonderfully wild.
We'll see you then.